Lizzie's crime story, she grew up in the country, and growing up, she never knew her biological father. Her mother told her that her biological father was an exchange student from Africa, and she was raised by her mother and stepfather. And growing up, she said she was spoiled to death, which kind of explains why she expects men to spoil her as an adult now. But she said that she was spoiled because she felt like her parents wanted her to keep her mouth quiet about all the BS that was going on around her. She was SA'd by a few family members as a child, and they sat down with like a therapist who was explaining that children who are typically SA'd grow up to be extremely promiscuous because they don't have a very good idea of like boundaries and stuff like that. She began stripping when she was only 17 years old, and she said she was making like $500 to $1,000 a night. And through stripping, she eventually started meeting dudes that wanted to see more and get more than just a lap dance. So she started escorting, and she's like, damn, I can make $1,000 an hour instead of having to spend 12 hours stripping all night trying to make that. But there's no way that Lizzie could strip or escort if she wasn't high or under the influence. So she was constantly wasted every single night. She said she spent like $100 to $200 on drugs every night. She was buying crack and cocaine. Then she got a little too cocky with it. One night, they sent an undercover police officer, which I'm pretty sure like they usually call it like Vice, that goes up in strip clubs and try to see how far they can test the waters with the strippers. And that's exactly what they did with Lizzie. And he sits down and he's like shaking his pill bottle, and he's trying to look like he's the coolest cat in town. Ignored it, and he's like, yeah, baby girl, I'm trying to see how much I need to give you to get some of that ass. And she's like, oh, okay, just give me $1,000. And he's like, okay, so you're gonna do this with me after your shift? And she's like, yeah, no problem, I got you. And next thing you know, she got arrested, and multiple other people at this strip club got arrested and went down because she agreed to have sex with this undercover cop. She was arrested, she lost her job, and she gets out of jail. And now she needs a new way to earn income. So she's like, okay, I'm going to go to escorting, because at this point, she has a drug habit, and going to work a normal 9 to 5 with no college education is not going to give Lizzie the type of money she needs to support the lifestyle that she has become accustomed to. So she goes out and she's escorting, and she finds this man who starts acting like he's so in love with her and he's gonna offer her the world and all this protection. He starts feeding her all these drugs and is keeping her high all day, every day. But in exchange, he was taking all her money she was earning, and he had her banging dudes from sun up to sundown. I do want to give a quick moment to give a shout out to the sponsor of this video.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you are trying to grow your hair down your back and through your crack, then It's All Me has got you covered. It's All Me is a total body care brand that consists of super growth oil, shampoo and conditioner, detangling sprays, body balms, and body washes. And for those of y'all out there who are bald-headed to the root, your hairline star behind your ears, or your hair ain't never grown since the 6th grade, you definitely want to check out the Super Growth Oil. Listen, everybody on social media is talking about It's All Me Super Growth Oil and how it is growing their hair down like Rapunzel, honey. Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair.
Thank you to It's All Me for sponsoring this video, and use my code AMBER10 to save 10% off at checkout. But Lizzie, she was so vulnerable. She got taken advantage of by a pimp, and he really wasn't doing anything for her but just feeding her drugs. He promised her protection, but she never got in any positions where she needed protection, and she feels like even if she did, he probably wouldn't have done a damn thing. So he was just winning in the situation, just sitting on his ass all day, collecting money. And she finally got arrested and went to jail. And when she went to jail, she finally had a moment of clarity, and she's like, you know what, this ain't right. I can be earning all this money for myself instead of giving it to him. And she decided that she was going to get out and just go and move somewhere else and never talk to him again. And it actually worked out for her. It sounds like she moved somewhere far enough to where she wasn't gonna have to worry about getting caught up by him, unlike Brittany, who stole from her plug and then turned around and just like went down the street and got a hotel room and got busted that same day. But Lizzie had a very bad drinking problem. She got 7 DUIs, and I'm very curious like how much jail time she's had to serve in total for all those 7 DUIs, because that is a lot. And she was still drinking even after that, and she went to a bar, and the bar was literally across the street from the police station. She gets wasted off her ass, comes out, and she's stumbling right from the bar to her car, and even people were yelling at her like, girl, you do not need to get in your car. You need to call somebody. And she's like, F no. And called them a bunch of bitches and all sorts of stuff. And somebody ended up calling the police on her. She ends up driving off in her little car with a license plate that said trouble. To me, that's just like the equivalence of having a license plate that says like criminal or felon. It just makes you a walking target for the police. And I thought originally like they thought she was like swerving, but he said someone had called the police station and ratted her out because they knew she was too drunk and she would probably likely would have taken someone's life getting behind the wheel like that. And she can't even walk, but she thinks she's gonna get behind a car and drive. And the police ended up pulling her over, thank God. But this girl was wearing a super short skirt, and she gets out of the car. The cop was like, all right, Miss Combs, it appears that you are under the influence of alcohol, so I am going to need a field alcohol test. And she's like, okay, no problem, but first I'm going to need to stretch. So she has her short little skirt on, and she stretches her legs high up in the air. She's got her coochie lips flapping through the wind. Everybody can see everything from the waist down, just completely exposed to everyone watching, because she already said that a crowd had already garnered outside the bar that was watching her when she went to her car. So by now there's an even bigger crowd watching her arrest go down. I'm sure one of them was probably one of the people who ended up calling the cop to begin with. And she stretched, and this is actually a common thing I've seen in a lot of body cam video of people who are wasted. They always have to like stretch or do something first to try to like really get their shit together for a minute and make sure that they can try to, you know, look as sober as possible. So she does the alcohol test. She clearly fails, and he ends up arresting her. And while she's in the backseat of his car, she was like, hey, you're mighty fine. You know, I'll give you $10,000 or I'll rock your world if you let me go. So she was offering him sexual favors. Luckily, he did not fall for it, thank God, because it's just not worth it as a cop to lose your job over. And plus, Lizzie's the type of girl that she probably would have turned around, made a lawsuit out of it, and tried to get millions out of the police department. So he didn't fall for it. He took her to jail. Somehow, while she was like in the booking cell, she got her handcuffs off her and she started like giving lap dances to all the police officers, and they're like, okay, who let this girl out? And this is her mugshot from when she was arrested, and this mugshot actually went viral because she was known as like one of the most best looking inmates at the time, and all kinds of men started talking about like, oh my God, I can fix her, that's my dream woman right there, she doesn't deserve to be in jail, even though she's literally gotten 7 DUIs. She served her time in prison. She got out. She got with Scott. She's been off probation. She has been back to jail since she got out of prison for some alcohol-related arrest. But since, like, from the past, like, at least, like, 2-3 years, it seems like she's been doing pretty good. She appears to be really healthy. You know, I always have that little doubt in my head, like, okay, is she really sober? Just because how many times I've been gaslit in the past when she was trying to convince everyone she was sober, then comes to find out she was like on heroin and alcohol the whole time. But it was very obvious, like when she was on the show with Scott, that she was under the influence, because you can just see such a huge difference in her eyes compared to now. And she looks like she is so much healthier now, and her skin is just glowing. So it looks like she's doing great, and I love that for her. But that's it for this video, guys. Let me know what you guys think about everything in the comments below. Give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, and thank you so much for watching.